We come across the word refugee, whether it's in relation to some kind of a crisis that no government knows how to handle, or whether it's to simply classify a group of people as that. But who exactly is a refugee? So, if you have to simply Google it out or refer to an Oxford dictionary, you'll find this definition. This definition simply states that a refugee is a person who has fled his home due to political, religious, or social reasons. But the circumstances pushing a person to become a refugee is so much more complex than that. Many international instruments have tried to define who a refugee is, and for the purpose of this video, I will be referring to these two international instruments, and they are the Convention Relating to the Status of Refugees 1951, which I will in short call the Refugee Convention of 1951, and the Protocol Relating to the Status of Refugees, which again I will in short call the Refugee Protocol of 1967. Hello and welcome to Arthapada. My name is Anuja, and in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the important and crucial elements which determines who becomes a refugee and who doesn't. The Refugee Convention of 1961 defines a refugee in a three-part criteria. The first criteria can also be known as the inclusion clause, which essentially determines who gets to be a refugee or who comes under the definition of a refugee. The second criteria is known as the exclusion criteria, which essentially states that these people will not come under the protection of the refugee status. And the third criteria is also known as the cessation clause. This clause simply gets activated when a refugee, a person who has been recognized as a refugee, is no longer in need of the protection given by such status. The Refugee Convention of 1961 states that a person can be a refugee if he or she has the fear, that is, a well-founded fear of persecution. Persecution simply means some kind of hostility or ill treatment. And this persecution can come from any kind of ethnic majority, religious majority, or even the government itself. Take, for example, the Sri Lankan Tamils. They were the linguistic minority in Sri Lanka, and they were being persecuted by the Sinhalese majority, who also happened to be the ruling government in Sri Lanka. This definition of refugee is not simply constricted to persecution by some kind of religious or ethnic majority. The definition even recognizes persecution for simply being part of a different race, a different nationality, having a different political opinion, having a membership of a different social class. Social class meaning even being a child or a woman or a transgender, anything can constitute a social class. And persecution as a result of the same does entitle such person to the protection of a refugee status. The second most important element of this definition is that at the time of seeking such refugee status or refugee protection, the person must be outside the country of his nationality. It simply does not do for the person to be sitting within the confines of the comfort of his home and applying for refugee status. It doesn't work that way. Refugee protection is afforded to those people who are forced to flee their country due to persecution as a result of race, nationality, or say a different political opinion. So simply put, a person cannot seek refugee protection if he is still within the borders of his own country. Here I must make a distinction between refugees and internally displaced persons. An internally displaced person is also a type of refugee in the sense that he is also facing persecution but is merely displaced from one part of the country to another part of the country and still remains within the borders of the country where he is being persecuted. Lastly, this definition specifies that this person must be unable to receive any kind of protection from his own country, that is, the country where he derives his nationality from or wherever he was living up until now. He is unable to get protection from that country. He may be unable to do this simply because there exists no formal machinery of the state. That means there is no formal government existing there to provide him protection, or simply that it is the government itself who is persecuting him. So the essential elements of the inclusion criteria is that the person must have a well-founded fear of persecution. He must be outside the protection of his home or of the country of his nationality, and more importantly, he cannot receive the protection of his state. The next criteria is known as the exclusion criteria. And this criteria basically determines who doesn't deserve the refugee status or the refugee protection. Your Articles 1D, 1E, and 1F of the Refugee Convention of 1961 constitute the exclusion criteria. So, what does Article 1D state? It simply states that if a refugee is receiving some kind of assistance or protection from some body or state other than the UNHCR, that is the United Nations body, then they will not be granted the refugee status or protection by the UNHCR. The reasoning is very simple. The resources allotted to the UNHCR is somewhat limited, and if such refugee is already receiving some kind of assistance from someone else, then the resources of the UNHCR can simply be put to other good use. Now, a situation may arise wherein a refugee may be granted citizenship of another country, that is, the country where he has integrated himself in. Or even if it's not citizenship, he may be granted some other basic rights, such as the right to work or the right to education for his children, alongside the rights of the citizens of that country. In this case also, that person will not be afforded the refugee protection under this convention, simply because that state is already providing him this protection. This clause states that if a person is fleeing his country of nationality simply because he has committed some kind of a crime, that is a war crime or a crime against peace or the crime against humanity or some non-political crime, then in such situation he will not be afforded the refugee status, because refugee protection is given to those people who are fleeing due to a fear of persecution. It is not afforded to those people who are simply running away from justice. The third criteria is known as the cessation criteria. For that, you need to understand that at the time a person is being declared as a refugee, he does not always have to remain a refugee for the rest of his life. There may arise a situation in the future where the circumstances which led to him running away from his country in the first place no longer exist. So if, say for example, refugees were fleeing their home country because the government was persecuting them, then if that government is no longer in power, then they will no longer be persecuted if they're being sent back to their home country. So authorities must take every possible step to determine whether refugees will still face persecution if they go back to their home country. If it is assumed that the situation has resolved itself and is calmer than what it was before, then these authorities must take every step possible to try and send these refugees back to their home country or the country of their nationality. Now, you may be wondering why I'm trying to go to such lengths to define who a refugee is. If a person comes under the definition of a refugee, then he will be granted the protection of the UNHCR. The UNHCR is a United Nations body, also known as the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and their mandate is simply to provide protection and assistance to any person who comes under the definition of a refugee. The mandate of the UNHCR includes finding asylum for refugees in host countries, ensuring that they are able to integrate themselves into the host countries, and if ever the situation arises, find a way to repatriate, that is, to send back the refugees back to their country of nationality. The definition of a refugee under this Refugee Convention of 1961 was a pretty exhaustive one, but then it had two very crucial limitations. It had a geographical limitation and it had a time limitation. The geographical limitation was that the Refugee Convention only recognized those refugees coming in and around Europe after the World Wars. It did not recognize any refugees coming out of any other country other than Europe. The time limitation was that it only recognized a refugee who became a refugee prior to 1st January 1951. Anyone who became a refugee after that would not be given the assistance or protection of the UNHCR. To combat these limitations, the protocol relating to the status of refugees, in short, the Refugee Protocol of 1967, was drafted to remove these limitations. So, if you have to ask, these two international instruments go hand in hand, the Refugee Convention and the Refugee Protocol. The difference lies simply in the fact that the Refugee Convention had the geographical and the time limitations, while the Refugee Protocol has done away with those limitations. That's all for this video, guys. I hope you found this video to be informative and interesting. Do show some love and share my video with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe before you leave.